Silence isn't the problem, it's just data. Have you ever found yourself in a moment like this? You send her a message. Nothing complicated, just a simple, "How are you?" or something real from the heart. She's seen it, or maybe she hasn't even opened it. And then time starts to stretch out like a tight string. An hour, 2, a day, maybe a whole week. Your phone is quiet, but your mind, not even close. It starts spinning like a broken clock. Did I say something wrong? Was I too forward? Is she just not into me anymore? I've been there. A lot of men have been there. And what hurts isn't just the silence itself. It's not knowing what that silence means. I remember something Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens that hurts us, it's how we interpret it." You might think she's probably moved on. But what if that silence is actually saying something? Something about her, something about you, something about a connection that's being tested, not by words, but by absence. In this video, I'm not here to tell you to play it cool or wait a few days and then text her again. We're not 20 anymore. I want to take you deeper into that space where Stoic philosophy, modern psychology, and very human experience come together. Because sometimes it's in the quiet that we finally hear the truest voice inside us. You ready? Let's begin. If you chase silence, you lose. Picture a morning like any other. You wake up, sunlight sneaking through the blinds, and your phone is the first thing you reach for. No messages, no reply from the woman you've been thinking about. You sigh, maybe tell yourself, whatever, it's fine. But a few minutes later, your brain goes back to the same old question. Why hasn't she replied? We often assume silence means something bad. Rejection, coldness, disinterest. But the truth? Sometimes her silence has absolutely nothing to do with you. A close friend of mine, a deeply thoughtful woman, once said, "When I go quiet, it's not because I hate anyone. It's because I'm trying not to fall apart." Women, especially the ones who feel deeply, don't communicate in fixed rhythms. They move in emotional waves. They might pull back when they're overwhelmed, confused, or when they care so much they're afraid of messing things up. But us men, we tend to translate silence through logic. No reply equals she's not interested. And that logic, it throws us into doubt, into overthinking, into that tight-chested anxiety. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke." So if she's silent, don't rush to conclusions. Maybe she's going through something you can't see. Maybe her silence isn't a period. Maybe it's just an ellipsis, waiting for you to understand. And maybe the one who needs your attention the most right now isn't her, it's you. She's not testing you. Life is. There's something strange I've noticed about men past 30. We can handle pressure at work, shoulder family responsibilities, close high-stakes deals, but one unread message, it can throw our whole day off. I'm not judging. I've been there. There were days I sat in my car, phone in hand, mentally rewinding the last conversation. Did I offend her? Was I too eager? The modern man is wired to solve problems, and the more uncertainty there is, the more we scramble to fix it. But that's where Stoicism steps in. Not like a suit of armor, more like a quiet breeze, cooling a restless heart. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you that defines you, it's how you respond to it." A man on the Stoic path doesn't just react on impulse. He doesn't let emotions drag him around like the wind. He stops, takes a deep breath, and asks himself, what can I actually control right now? And the answer is always the same: himself. You can't control her messages. You can't control when or if she calls again. But you can control whether you still show up to the gym this afternoon. You can control putting your phone down and writing a few honest thoughts in your journal. You can choose to hold on to that calm inside you while the world outside shakes from a notification that never came. It's not easy, but it's not impossible either, because you don't need to guess what others might do if you're already clear on who you're choosing to be. Silence can be a test of emotional strength. A man once told me he lost a beautiful connection, not because he did something wrong, but because he didn't know how to simply be still when she needed space. "I thought she wanted me to prove I cared," he said, "so I kept messaging her over and over. But later she told me what she really needed was silent trust. And I got it. I got both of them." Most people don't realize this. Silence, even when unintentional, is sometimes a test, not a game, not some manipulative tactic, but an instinctive way of asking, if I pull back, will you still be grounded or will you fall apart? Men tend to think challenges are out there in business, pressure, finances, but one of the hardest trials? Staying centered when you're no longer the focus of someone's attention. Have you ever felt that? She withdraws, and suddenly you're standing in the quiet. On one side, the urge to chase, to fix, to pull her close again. On the other, a strange kind of silence, the kind that forces you to turn inward and sit with yourself. And that's where strength is built. Seneca once wrote, "We must learn to live without depending on what's uncertain if we want lasting peace." A Stoic man doesn't see silence as punishment. He sees it as opportunity. Not to control others, but to examine himself. Maybe she'll come back, maybe she won't. But if you make it through that silence without losing who you are, you've already won. Not over her, but over yourself. The Stoic response, acceptance and self-renewal. I've seen plenty of men, strong in the outside world, get completely thrown off by one unanswered message. Some call repeatedly, some spam her inbox. Some pretend not to care with cold texts, while quietly unraveling inside. And I once told one of them, you're not chasing her, you're chasing the sense of safety you think she's holding. Because when we chase silence, we're not just reaching out to someone else, we're sending a message to ourselves. I can't stay calm unless someone validates me. My worth is floating, waiting to be anchored by someone else. And here's the twist. The more you push to pull someone back who's clearly creating distance, the more they drift away. Not because they're cruel, but because human beings, by nature, need space to choose. In psychology, it's called reactance. When someone feels their freedom is being threatened, they instinctively pull away to reclaim it. So what's the antidote to that? Your silence. It's not sending that 11 p.m. text that says you up. It's not filling the space with noise. It's letting her feel your absence, not to punish her, but as an invitation for freedom. I'm still here, but I don't need you to complete me. That's the moment you stop being someone begging to be noticed and start becoming someone others quietly think about, even in your absence. Because absence, when done with intention, can be a powerful kind of presence. It doesn't make noise, it doesn't demand, it doesn't force anyone to react, it simply lingers, and sometimes that quiet is exactly what makes people finally start to listen. If she comes back, you're still in control. There was a man who once told me very honestly, I'm not afraid of her walking away, I'm afraid of feeling invisible. That quiet pain, a sense of no longer mattering, is something many men carry, but few know how to name. Because when someone doesn't respond, you don't just lose a conversation. You lose the space where you once felt seen, where your presence felt valued. But you know what? Sometimes someone else's silence is the biggest mirror, showing you just how far you've drifted from yourself. Instead of asking, why hasn't she replied? Ask, what part of my life has been waiting for me to listen? What dream did I postpone? What habit did I let go of? What passion did I once love that I've forgotten in the noise of waiting? Stoicism doesn't teach you to ignore emotions. It teaches you to turn them into F. Go work out, not to forget her, but to remember how strong you actually are. Pick up your journal, not to complain, but to realize your fears are smaller than they seem once they're written down. Do something new. Cook, reorganize your space, start that book you've been putting off, not so she sees you're busy, but so you remember you're alive. Seneca once wrote, when a person stops hoping for what they cannot control, they finally begin to live. And something strange happens when you stop waiting for a text. Life starts responding to you in unexpected ways. Not because you chased it, but because you finally moved. And movement, that forward, grounded energy, is the clearest sign of someone who's aligned with his own path. Silence isn't always negative. Picture this, a quiet afternoon after days of silence. You're sitting in your favorite coffee shop, soft sunlight filters through the wooden window frame. Your phone vibrates. It's her. Not an apology, not an explanation, just a vague message like, hey, how have you been? Or maybe just a meme, a random story reaction, and your heart, despite your efforts to stay calm, stirs. I know that feeling. It's real. There's a mix of relief, confusion, and even a quiet anger that wants to ask, Why now? Do you even know how long I waited? But then you remember, you're not the man you were last week. You've walked through the silence, not waiting on anyone, but learning to see yourself more clearly. You've started reading again. You've been working out. You've learned how to sit with yourself and be okay. You've stopped reacting and started choosing your response. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, don't let someone's return disturb the peace you've worked so hard to build. So when she returns, you're not cold, you're not overeager either. You're just calm. You can reply, honestly, simply, I've been doing well, been focusing on a few new things. No guilt tripping, no pretending, no trying to make her feel bad, because you don't need her presence to feel whole anymore, but you also won't push away sincerity if it's real. And it's that balance, that quiet strength, that makes her see you differently, not because you're more valuable, but because you've become a man who no longer lets his worth be defined by who stays or who doesn't.